for breastfeeding a 3-year-old. A year later, she is still making headlines for nursing her son, now 4. Is the media making too much of this, or can this kind of parenting go too far? The woman on the cover of those magazines, Jamie Lynn Grume, is with us tonight, along with Jeannie Ohm, the editor of Pathways to Family Wellness magazine. Jamie, I'm going to go to you first. It must have been intense to be in the middle of that media firestorm after being on the cover of the magazine. What motivated you to get in the middle of this again, go on another magazine?
We were really selective this time with how we wanted to do it. We wanted to be able to explain our story to our community. So we ended up choosing a nonprofit magazine that really geared their audience. It was more a holistic parenting magazine. So that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to tell our story just to this audience, and we're kind of surprised by how much national attention this is getting again.
Well, why do you think it does get so much attention?
I think there's a bigger issue here. I think polarizing tagline was probably the main issue. The media generated mommy wars was I think the main problem, and I think people really don't understand breastfeeding past infancy, and they're a little confused by it and uncomfortable with it.
What do you want people to know about it?
It's normal. It's really normal in other cultures. I was in Ethiopia 2 weeks ago, and seeing the women breastfeeding on the streets, breastfeeding their toddlers, breastfeeding their children of all ages, and it was just a wonderful experience. We were working with the Wassa Children's Project there, and to know all of these children were breastfed up until even age 7 or 8. It's not uncommon. Now,
I'm looking at your picture on Time Magazine. They just flashed it up here on the screen. And two things I've noticed, or I've heard. One is that I think this was sort of a candid shot. You didn't expect this to be the shot they put on the cover. Is that accurate?
Yes, that was, we knew going into it that they could use an outtake. We were hoping they wouldn't. Maybe we were being naive to think that they were going to use a more nurturing shot, and they definitely had those. Time Light Box actually posted it, and it was beautiful. I heard that was almost going to make the cover. I think that image plus the tagline was the big issue, because it was very confrontational.
I've noticed that my producers use every chance they get to flash that picture up. So it's something about the picture too. The people, the picture itself is very provocative. How do you feel about that picture of you being up there?
I'm not offended by the picture. I don't think it's the best representation, and especially because this was the first time some people were seeing breastfeeding past infancy, and that was a very, the shot was really disconnected, and my son's arms were dropped because he was tired. So I don't like the fact that we normally had our arms around each other, and the photographer was really lovely and didn't. Whenever he dropped his arms a couple of times until we moved to a different position, and he realized he was tired.
All right.
Asked each time to put his arms around.
All right, let's. Jeannie will be with you in a second. I would take some calls. I think people have opinions about this. I want to hear them. Robert in California, you got something to say?
Hi, Dr. Drew.
Robert.
The thing that we don't understand about breastfeeding, that people don't recognize it, is that it's beneficial for the health of the child, and they end up becoming smart as well. I mean, with good raising and everything. But I think the media gets titillated over this whole fiasco, but they forget that mother's milk came long before Similac.
All right, let me go to Jeannie and let her be explicit about the health benefits, because I believe all the pediatric associations recommend breastfeeding up until age 2. I think the issue here is beyond 2 and what the benefits are. It's a little controversial, but go ahead, Jeannie.
Hi, Dr. Drew. Great to be here. It is controversial, and although the American Academy of Pediatrics talks to allow children to breastfeed till about 2 years, the World Health Organization says we really need to be doing that further. 4 years is more applicable. And there's, in our magazine, we have Catherine Detweiler, and she talks about that really for humans, for human mammals, 5, 6 years of age is appropriate. Biologically, physiologically, how it affects the child, how the bonding, the nurturing that they have with the mother. Sure, the content of the milk, but it's more than food, breastfeeding. It's an interaction. It's a security that the child achieves that gives them strength to step forward and be stronger. The more of that loving strength they have at the beginning, they can really step forward in life.
And I don't think anyone disagrees with that. I mean, I think that's absolutely, it's how long to maintain it, I think, that people have issues. I talked to a late adolescent male once who was breastfed until he was like 6 or something, and he was very disturbed by it. Do you think that's because he lives in a culture where it's not normative?
Yeah, absolutely. We don't see that. It's like birth. We don't see births. We don't see women breastfeeding, so it's unusual, it's odd, it's out of the box. If we lived in other societies where we were experiencing this was a normal daily activity that everyone grew up with, yeah, that would be quite easy.
Let's talk to Kathy.
handle. So,
Kathy in Texas. I'm sorry to interrupt there. Kathy.
Hi, Dr. Drew. As a mother, I respect other mothers' choices, but once the child starts walking, talking, has teeth, speaking in full sentences, then they should be, encouraged to grow and not to breastfeed. Breastfeeding a 3 to 4 year old or even a 7 to 8 year old to me is outrageous.
Jamie, how do you respond to that? Jamie?
It's not good for the kid. It's wrong.
Jamie.
That is, unfortunately, that's our culture talking. I mean, that's a common opinion here, and it's not true. I was breastfed until I was 6 years old. I saw Queens. It was really, I had a wonderful childhood. It was really beneficial. I have wonderful memories of it, and I'm giving my children this. My sister wasn't breastfed. She was only breastfed for 2 weeks by my mother, and she saw how I was parented and wanted to be able to give her children that too. So all 5 of her children.
Why the
were
difference?
breastfed.
Why the difference between the two of you?
My sister's 14 years older than me, and my mom had bad information and was pressured to wean. So by the time I came around, she felt more confident in her choices to do what she felt was right for our family and for her children.
Okay, now next up, I've got a mom who says she was kicked out of her church for daring to breastfeed her child. This is another aspect of the story. We're taking your calls still, 855-373-7395. Very interesting. Don't go away.
That's not right.
With nothing but his computer, an identity thief is able to use your information to open a bank account in order to make your money